Stephen Pierce's scream here.
Yes.
No?
I don't know. What would he do?
No, I have no idea. Yeah.
What would he do today versus 1984?
Yes.
I don't smoke, so I don't know.
No, exactly. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of When Records Ruled, the podcast where we share our love of rock music and pop culture from the 70s and 80s and take a few B-side tracks down memory lane along the way. So get out those liner notes and slip on that old pair of Zubaz pants because it's time to hit the play button.
Chris Kind.
That's right. I'm your host,
Shout
David
out
Norris.
to Chris Kind. Was he a Zubaz wearer?
It was the Zubaz.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, he was.
I mean, it was
Vikings
A lot of
ones?
people did them back in the day.
I never did.
Neither did I.
Nine, me
You're
either.
getting ahead of me now, though.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm your host, David Norris, and joining me on this flashback musical road trip are my good friends Brian Strom, who does not wear Zubaz.
Nope.
And Lance Schwartz, and that's up in the air, I guess.
No, I said
Oh, okay.
Okay.
never.
No. I was never a Zubaz guy. There was a friend of mine even in after college who kept wearing them, but I mean, they kind of made a comeback for a little while, didn't they?
A little bit.
Recently?
Yeah.
It's too bad.
Not a huge comeback, but yeah, all of a sudden you saw him.
Like mullets.
I have not been a follower of fashion over the years.
I think so.
too
Some
much.
of the kids started digging in their dad's old boxes and found,
Yeah.
oh, look at these.
Yes. They saw pictures of the
wearing them.
mullets
Yes.
and the Zubaz pants and put two and two together and went, we need to do this.
Here we go.
And bell bottoms probably for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they all should
At
just
least
be,
in Lance's closet.
I had some bell bottoms
Yeah?
for sure.
I know you did.
they call them flares now.
Flares.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you put out when you have a flat tire?
You do. Yes. Well, to all of you listening, this is our 22nd episode. And I think it's fair to say we have a pretty good time recording these episodes for you. Right?
Yeah.
Speak for
we do.
yourself, Dave. It's a lot of work. Man,
Hey, it's fun though,
Cracking
right?
the whip.
Yeah. So we're going to remind you again at the end, but if you do enjoy our podcast, would you please share this episode with a friend and help us spread the word and grill the audience for When Records Ruled?
Yeah. Send that message out round and round.
Yes, do it.
Isn't that my line?
I know. That's what I said. We're going to remind you at the end. And by
Yeah.
we, I mean you, Lance.
Yes.
So
Write that down for me so I can
Yes.
remember what to say.
Yeah. We would be incredibly thankful and grateful if you did. And we appreciate all you listening and supporting our humble little podcast. Oh, and by the way, we're now on YouTube.
Yes, we are.
Not video, sorry, but you can find us on YouTube and YouTube Music now. So
Thank goodness we
Right?
are not on video.
Well,
Hey,
yeah, then we got
never
to
say
start
never.
doing makeup and all
Yeah.
that stuff. It's like, yeah,
it wouldn't be pretty.
no.
All right. Now, on to today's episode, where we will be discussing the album Out of the Cellar by RATT.
Rat and roll.
We'll hear what was happening around the time of the album's release, wrap it up with a personal rating of the album, and then we'll end the show with our Remember When segment. But before we get into talking about the album, Brian is here with some information and fun facts on what was happening around the time the album was released.
Which was February 17th, 1984. So some of the top bands of the time were Genesis, Van Halen,
Yes.
Christopher Cross,
Yeah.
and John
Lennon.
Cougar
Oh.
Mellencamp.
You know, that's funny you say cougar. I just was telling you guys earlier I redid my online library of music, and so you got John Cougar Mellencamp, John Mellencamp. They couldn't all be in the same category, so you've got to, what was his name when this album came out? It's kind of annoying. I suppose I could go in and fix
And
it.
I think his actual first record was Johnny Mellencamp.
Johnny Cougar.
Johnny Cougar, I mean, yeah, Johnny
Wow.
Cougar. So
Yeah.
so he's gone through a lot of names.
Yeah.
He was very mixed about what he wanted to go by, huh?
Well, it was the record company.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They were trying to
They're
decide
the
for him?
ones that did the Cougar.
Yeah.
He didn't want that, but
What was it on the Brady Bunch? What was Greg Brady's?
Johnny Bravo.
Yeah.
Johnny Bravo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brian and I and another guy went by that moniker for
We
a band
did.
for a little while.
I thought I remembered that.
Yeah.
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 And there's an actual Johnny Bravo that did record an album out there.
Yeah. They sued us, and it was a big mess.
It wasn't pretty. We'd rather not talk about
Yeah.
it.
All right.
On to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
Some of the top songs of the time. At number 3 was Talking in Your Sleep.
The Tubes?
No,
No.
not a bad guess.
Romantics?
The Romantics.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That was close. That was so close.
Owner of a Lonely Heart
Yes.
Yes.
and Karma Chameleon.
Culture Club?
Culture Club. That was number one.
Big song. Yep. I
Wow.
remember that.
Some of the top shows were Murder, She Wrote,
Angela Lansbury.
Who's the Boss, Miami Vice.
The Vice.
Can hear the theme song in my head.
Yeah.
Yes.
Top movies of this time period. One of Dave's. I'm guessing. I don't know. 16 Candles.
Oh, heck yeah.
Good movie.
See, yeah.
Love that movie.
Dune.
Yes.
Coming out again soon.
No, part
Yeah.
2 is coming out.
Part 2.
Part 1's already out. It's fantastic. The reboot. I'm not a huge fan of reboots all the time, but this one, fan-freaking-tastic. You
Okay.
haven't seen this. If you're even a remote fan of the other one,
Okay.
this one is just...
streaming or in theaters.
it's
It's
streaming,
been out for a little while.
streaming on Netflix and other HBO, I think. But it's...
Ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yeah. It is, I mean, it's just beautiful.
Beverly Hills Cop.
Nice.
The original.
Yeah. Was there a reboot? Or you mean the
No.
first one?
Because there's
Yeah, it's the first one.
3,
Yeah.
I think, and now 4 coming out direct to
is there?
Netflix. Yeah,
Oh,
speaking
my.
of Netflix again. Got to get sponsored by Netflix.
Banana in the tailpipe.
And the Karate Kid.
Oh, yeah.
Some good stuff. That was a good year for movies.
Lots of reboots in that group there.
Is
huh?
that true? Yeah.
Yeah. That reboot, not so great. I didn't like the Karate Kid reboot.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
That's what I got.
It was okay.
It was good for like 6 episodes. Then it just was
You're talking about Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
That was actually good. I liked the first couple seasons, and then it was just like
Same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of interesting. It
Where
was
have
kind
I
of fun.
seen this before?
Exactly. Yes. All right, guys. Let's say we squeeze into some tight leather pants, tease up those bangs, because it's time to crawl out of the cellar with RATT. Let's go.
I know you certainly could. That's what I need to do earlier.
Yes. Yeah. That was
Very
the
good.
scream I was looking for, buddy. Yeah. All right. To get us started talking about this album, Lance has some background details to share. Let's go, Lance.
Yeah. So Out of the Cellar is the debut studio album, debut full length. I think they did have an
An EP.
EP
Yep.
before this.
5 songs.
Also good.
As Brian mentioned, released in February of '84. Some would say it was an immediate success. Had a lot of airplay, a lot of rotation on MTV. Round and Round was a big smash hit. That wasn't Round and Round, was it? That wasn't right.
That was Wanted Man.
Album was certified triple platinum. That means 3 million plus albums were sold. According
Nice.
to the Recording Institute. What was RIAA? We've talked about
I can
this
never
before.
remember what it is.
Anyway, RIAA says it's
Recording Institute of America.
Of America.
that sounds
It's not right. It's
sort of right.
Association.
Association of America. That sounds better, actually.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Interesting little fact about this album. The video for Round and Round, their big smash hit, had a guest appearance by a early movie star. Do you guys remember who the
Yes.
Yeah.
Uncle Milty?
Milton Berle.
Yeah.
Milton Berle. Yeah. Was that the video where the guitar player came crashing through the ceiling?
It
It
is.
was.
Yeah.
The Burls had left already, though, by
Yeah.
that time.
Was he in drag?
He was
At
also
one
in drag,
point,
yeah.
yeah.
He was playing basically a couple that decided to leave because they were
Too loud.
It was too loud.
It's too loud.
Yeah.
Oh, they were having a rat problem.
They were
Yes,
having a rap.
a rap
We'll get to
problem.
that.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, we will get to that
We'll
later.
get to that,
Okay. After the album was released, they went on a world tour. I believe I saw they even went to Japan maybe on this tour.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. And selling out stadiums and arenas worldwide. So they were not quite an overnight success, but pretty darn close, I would say. Most people would say Out of the Cellar is probably, and maybe you guys can chime in, probably their best album. How many did they have? 5 or 6 albums?
6-ish.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's about right.
Um,
I would say it probably is.
And their
Yeah.
initial run.
Yeah, definitely their biggest seller. And that's not
Yep.
uncommon for a lot of bands. I mean, you think about like Boston and Well, in Boston.
Yeah.
but it does happen a lot of times.
And I think their next 3 albums after this all went platinum. So not as big as this, but still were successful.
Yep.
They were riding the wave of glam metal.
Totally.
Would you call it
Riding the wave, or were they? They're part of.
They were kind of
the.
They were on the forefront of that.
Yeah.
The wave came after
them and Motley
Crue. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were kind of peers.
So would you call this music heavy metal, glam metal, hard rock? What is it?
I call it hard rock.
I think you're right.
I do, but I think a lot of the critics called it glam rock.
Yeah.
Just because of the way they dressed.
I think excuse me. I always think the glam rock was more 86, 87. Yeah. I mean, kind of the later 80s where they got more into the glam.
Yeah.
They did wear makeup, though.
Oh, I know. Band. Yeah, they did. Yeah. No doubt.
Well, a lot of these bands, they kept a lot of hairdressers in business. That's for sure.
And Aquanet.
Yeah. So I don't have a ton of background on it because there really wasn't a ton of background out there. Stephen Pearcy is kind of the face of the band. I wouldn't say they were faceless beyond that. I mean, you guys maybe know the guitar players a little better. I think that they were fairly well known, but Pearcy does he tour as RATT anymore, or is he sings the music of RATT or something like that? Maybe
I think he sings just in solo stuff right now. I mean, he sings RATT songs, but he's not out with the band. Yeah,
tries to sing RATT songs.
Yeah, we'll get into that more too.
So 40th anniversary though. And yes, I did hear he is going out on tour and doing the entire album.
Oh, that's right. I did see that.
That would coincide with my 40th high school reunion as well. 1984 was
nice.
Is RATT going to play at your reunion?
They should.
Yes.
Well, I bet we could maybe afford them even.
You probably could. Probably some intimate venues he's playing. He's probably not playing any stadium shows for this.
I'll give
Dave and I saw him solo.
Yes. What? So that was a Cheers bar or something?
What?
Yeah, Hooligans.
Well, that's what it's called now. I think it was Cheers.
No, it was called the Caledonia.
Oh,
there you go.
The Caledonia. Where they had boot night.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, and it was, I mean, he was on a stage, but it looked like those guys, their heads were about to hit the ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
It was super small.
Oh, yeah. Who did we see?
We saw Quiet Riot.
Quiet Riot, yeah. Same deal.
Yeah. And it was packed. It was super packed in there.
Don't light off the pyrotechnics in that building.
No. But it was, the sound system in there couldn't overpower everybody singing along. So you could barely hear them singing.
I'm trying to think of when this was, around 2000 maybe. So I think
it was
20, 25 years ago.
Yeah. Probably still in good voice.
He wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But he did not want to do any RATT.
You want to do arcade stuff, right?
Yeah. He did arcade and covers and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember there's a girl right in front of his face holding up this album in his face.
Like a CD.
Yeah.
Like
just kept holding in his face, and finally he kind of calls her up on stage being all nice, and then he escorted her right off.
Oh, gee.
Like, get out of here.
He said something about he didn't want to.
He said he was just so sick of it.
Yeah.
He's like, people have been shoving that in my face for so long.
Yeah.
Just wanted nothing to do with it.
Well, I was still looking for some critical reception to his newer stuff. So
yeah,
whatever. He's an artist.
I think he's realized that's what's going to make him some money.
Oh yeah, he has to now.
Yeah,
and he doesn't look awesome, but
then he could be a little rebellious then.
Yeah, that's true. He could afford it. So I know, Brian, you own this album. Lance, did you own this album at all?
Early on, yeah.
You did.
Yeah, I don't think I have a copy right now, but I bought a couple. Their first two.
Mm-hmm.
It was big. I mean, it was huge.
Yeah.
It was the music of the time.
Yeah.
For a couple of years.
I think I bought the 45 single Round and Round, and sometime later I bought the CD. I don't remember when.
I had the cassette.
And you have
No, that's wrong. I had the record.
I actually had the LP.
But I don't have it anymore. Yeah.
Do you know how many times you've seen RATT? I had to count mine up.
I want to say, I mean, we saw him solo, not quite RATT, but then I think 2 other times.
Oh, that's right, together. And then I saw him in 86. That was my first concert. And we talked about that in the concerts episode, but RATT was my first concert.
Yeah.
So in 86, yeah.
Like headlining? They were headlining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember. It's probably some local band that opened up for him. I don't remember anybody substantial opening up for RATT. Could be, but 86, April 1st. It's kind of in between. It was like a stopover tour. They were just coming back from touring England, and then they stopped off in Anchorage and then flew to Tokyo. Did a bunch of dates in Japan.
Hello,
I think on
Tokyo.
I think on this tour, I was trying to get information on it. It looked like they were mainly openers on this tour.
The first one.
Yeah. With Out of the Cellar.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So do you know who they're opening for?
A lot of different people. Really? I mean, like Billy Squier, Motley Crue. I saw them on a lot of bills with Night Ranger, Lita Ford.
When did Invasion come
85.
out? That must be when
that
they
was
went
when
to
they
Japan.
started headlining.
Yeah, and that's when I saw them on their Invasion of Your
Yeah.
Privacy tour in 86.
Yeah.
So it was right after that came out.
Because I watched a video of them in Japan. It was interesting. They're really soft-spoken guys. And maybe it was because they were in Japan and they had to be more respectful.
Didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Stephen Piercy's a big, huge personality like some
not.
other lead. He's not a David Lee Roth.
The only guy that had kind of a big personality was who's the blonde
Blobster,
guy with
the drummer, or David or not David Crosby.
He's like 6'5".
Robin Crosby.
He was
I can
he
see
had a
that.
big personality. The others were very soft spoken, which was interesting.
Until it came time to record the album.
Yeah.
And then
Then opinions were flying.
exactly.
Then Bo Hill, the producer, told them, "Here's what you want to do, guys."
Yeah.
I don't know much about Bo Hill, but I did read a little bit that he worked with Kix and Winger, Warrant, so a lot of bands of the same ilk.
Yep.
Did a lot.
He had some pretty cool stuff on there. There was, we were talking about the Stevens being able to sing. I heard an interview with him talking with some podcaster, and he had a good Robin Crosby quote about Steven. He said they were coming in, Robin was coming in and passed Steven warming up in the hall when they were recording this album. And he came in the studio and told Bo Hill, he's like, "I'm sure glad the girls think he's sexy because he can't sing." Well,
What's your definition of singing?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen him live, and it's a lot of some speak singing, you know.
The thing that's funny is he doesn't have a big range at all,
No.
which theoretically should make it easier later on in his life, but it hasn't.
No. And maybe just the way he's treated his body and vocals.
That's probably it.
part
Although
of
I
that.
didn't see them live in the early days, but I heard from multiple people that they just sounded terrible.
86
At least
was a long-
vocally.
Yeah.
And it was always so loud you couldn't even tell what they were doing. And
That was the deal back then. Bands played so stinking loud. It was that's what I appreciate about music, going to concerts these days. They don't turn it up quite as loud as they used to.
Well, the sound systems are so much better.
the quality
too.
is so much better. Yeah.
Well,
Quality
that's
is so
true
much
too.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But decibel wise, I mean, most shows you can actually have a conversation now. It used to be you'd have to lean over and shout in somebody's ear
Yeah.
when you're going to see Ted Nugent.
And then you just nod your head and you have no idea what they said. But you just get out of my ear.
Smile and nod.
I think my sister was a big Bon Jovi fan, like around 84, 85. And they opened for RATT. And I remember her going with my now brother-in-law, Sean, and Bon Jovi was great. RATT was just terrible. And I think they didn't even stay for the whole show.
Really?
It was that bad.
That bad. Yikes.
Yeah.
You guys ever walked out? Yeah, you walked out.
Yeah.
On what was that one you were telling us about?
Loverboy, but that wasn't because they sounded bad, because we didn't even hear them.
They were
just-
too good.
Yeah.
Too good for sound.
We just
for
didn't even
Loverboy.
stick around for the show.
Oh,
They're not rock, so we're leaving.
Yeah.
Because Dawkin is
Rockin' with Dawkin
Dawkin rules.
and Rat and Roll.
Yes.
I probably walked out on a show, but I can't remember what it is now. So
Yeah.
that was 40 years ago, just like this album.
Nice, nice, Lance. Another quote from Bo Hill. He was talking about immediate stardom, wow factor of all these guys living in squalor, which they did. There's a book called Nothing But a Good Time, The Uncensored History of the 80s Hard Rock Explosion. I borrowed it from a friend, Chris, kind of actually.
With the Zubas.
Yep, exactly. It paints a good picture of how crowded the scene was back then with all these guys, and how a lot of them these bands just lived in squalor, one bedroom apartments, that kind of thing. Immediate success brings a lot of dollars in a hurry. He said at the end of the Out of the Cellar cycle, each of the band members had a net worth of $1.2 million. So going from, maybe 2 years earlier, scraping by and having, female fans bring you food and, whatever else, each one's a millionaire.
Else. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. It was pretty, pretty dramatic.
In that same interview, weren't they talking about how they couldn't even really afford amps and stuff, and so they rigged something together which both guitarists used the same amp.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Head. Yeah,
really?
Because that was all they had
at the same time. When they were recording, so they were using the same rig. Okay,
using the same rig.
Wow.
And then out on the tour, when they started to get some money, DeMartini started buying because he wanted different sound.
Yeah.
So he's buying all these amps and heads and stuff and sending them back. And pretty soon they got like 30 different amps
and heads
and
to mix and match to get that perfect sound.
To get the perfect sound. So then on the next album, he's putting them all together, and he's just taking time.
He wanted 2 days to do this.
Yes. To go through everything to find the right one, and he's not finding the right thing. And didn't he tell his engineer or something? He's like, go get the old rig, put it in one of these new cabinets, and have him play it. So he starts playing it, and he's like, this is the one. And he had no idea. So they used the same one that they used on the first album.
That's
great. He didn't want to use it until it was his decision.
Right.
Not Bo Hill, the producer.
We've got 29 amps and heads we need to return.
Yeah, right.
Let's briefly talk about this logo.
Yeah.
It's an awesome logo. This is a very iconic logo in my mind. This is one of the two I just love drawing. Van Halen, which was really easy, but this one's like my second favorite probably, just because it's so kind of industrial looking.
Yeah.
There was a lot of logos.
A lot of sharp edges on it.
Yes. If you get a chance, check it out.
Those back-to-back tees are kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just a cool logo. I wanted to point it out, though.
Yeah, it is.
You guys ready to talk some tracks?
Let's talk some tracks.
All right, here we go. Let's go through side 1 and side 2, and we'll circle back, start talking about them. Wanted Man on side 1 starts us off. You're in Trouble. Round and Round. In Your Direction, and She Wants Money. We flip over to side 2 for Lack of Communication. Back for More, The Morning After, I'm Insane, and Scene of the Crime. All right, we're going to kick things off talking about Wanted Man. Played this for our little intro.
We did.
That's a pretty cool intro.
It is.
I'm not going to lie.
Some little backwards drum stuff or what?
It is. You want to hear it reversed?
Yeah, you got it?
I do have it
reversed.
Way.
Give it to us. I love this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was, as I was listening to it, I'm like, I wonder what this sounds like reversed. So I'll play you just the intro and then play the reverse version right after that. Okay. So here we go. Here's the. Okay. Here's reversed. Want to hear it again?
Yeah.
Who comes up with that stuff?
That's pretty good.
It's pretty wicked, right? You're like, all right, well, that's not what I imagined it sounding like.
Right.
But if you can hear in different sides, left and right, it's a little bit different, like cadence or something. So they're a little mistimed or something.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it makes a super cool sound before they kick in with these guitars.
It is.
It is huge. Huge sound.
I like.
Yes. So Stephen, I was curious about the lyrics on this one too. So there was a quote from Stephen Piercy talking about the lyrics on this. He said, "Everybody wants to be a cowboy, right? Well, that's the whole premise of this."
Right.
Wanted Man.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the video for this, by the way?
I did, yeah.
It's a little cheesy, but
it is. But they got to be cowboys.
They got to be cowboys.
They got to ride horses.
Real cowboys, yeah.
Shoot their guns and.
Yep. I also
go ahead.
No, I was going to say when I was looking about reversing this, I noticed too, there were some comments about, hey, can you guys, anybody have like the cool guitar tuning for, the RATT Out of the Cellar songs? And like, they're different.
Yeah.
Right. So everything's like,
everything is very
tuned down a half step just to give it a little more angst, I guess, or something, a little bit different sound. So
Makes
I thought
it a
that was
little
kind of
heavier.
interesting. It does. It sounds a little heavier that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you going to say though?
I have no idea. But it's a good opener. It's a good, strong, solid opener that sets up the album.
It sets the tone rather well.
Yep.
I think the drums are really big at the beginning. Mm-hmm. I've noticed it's like very prominent drums. And the first minute is really cool. But then it's kind of just an even keel song throughout. And that's what a lot of their stuff is to me. Not the whole album. There's some that are a little faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the what's the right word? The time that they're in seems to be very similar on a lot of these tunes. And to me, it kind of drags a little bit that way. But I love the first riffs of most of their songs, actually.
Yeah. They got good, strong opening riffs, don't they?
Yeah. Very
Dave's
recognizable.
going to like that.
I do.
Dave's, this is kind of full of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then maybe not so much in this, but, the twin leads. I really am a fan of twin lead guitars in bands like this.
Yeah.
And when they play off each other or play together, it's always really cool. So it's a song that right out of the chute gets your attention for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Also featured in the movie Weird Science.
Yeah. Another one of Dave's favorites.
One of my favorite
you
movies.
are just
this is
a
like my
movie
sweet
trivia
spot,
guy.
man.
Yeah.
Well, this one in particular, I think there's Round and Rounds and some other stuff now too, but Wanted Man was like in a movie, in
of the
80s.
time.
Of the time.
I think a lot of the other songs are later
Yeah.
in the 2000s. And
They're like, oh, let's be retro and use an 80s tune. I know, RATT, Round and Round, the one that they play more than anything else, right? Yeah.
Signature song.
Yes. This was the second single, by the way,
yeah.
and probably the second most popular song on the album, actually.
And this one only reached 87. So it was not a
Not a huge hit.
No.
I don't know why,
Don't know why
because
either.
it's an awesome song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was some pretty stiff competition in the mid 80s.
Yeah.
Prince, Michael Jackson. I mean, with their audience, I mean, everybody kind of had back then. There was more variety in music than there is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So for them to reach only 87, it still sells 3.5 million.
Yeah,
or whatever.
I think other than Round and Round, I mean, to sell 3 million, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
For not having, any really big songs.
The power of the video, I think, was really did
It was, yeah. And if you've seen Round and Round, the video, and you compare that with Wanted Man, I mean, there's a pretty big difference there in quality and storyline and all that. So obviously they spent a lot of money on the.
Well, they knew. Yeah.
So, all right, ready to move on?
Sure.
You're in trouble.
I am.
No.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're good. What? All right.
A little jungly.
That's what I wrote too. Is that jungle sounds?
Yeah, I think so.
It is. Why?
Yeah. Why?
Because they're in trouble. Have you got something for us, Dave?
Crazy monkeys?
No,
after
I'm
him?
asking you.
I don't know.
The only thing I can think of is he mentions jungle in the lyrics.
Yeah.
But I don't know really what else that has to do with the jungle sounds. This is the only one that I'm like, I'm not a huge fan of the jungle sounds in this opening.
Same.
Because like this is the only one where they use something weird like that.
Yeah, true.
That I just didn't like, that doesn't
Well, the
really
backwards
jive.
drum's a little weird, but it was cool.
But that's a cool thing.
What do you think of the bass line?
I
to
love the
open?
bass line.
You like
That's
that?
cool. Yeah, I do.
It goes on a while too.
Yeah.
It's like
It's a little long.
yeah, I noted that too. It's like, wow, they really dragged that out before the guitars kick in.
But they kick it when they kick it in, it's just the chorus all of a sudden. He's kind of like there was no like pre-big sound before then.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is I think kind of unique.
And the chorus is big.
Yeah. you're in trouble.
I think really most of their choruses are catchy and memorable.
Yes.
I mean, easy to sing along with and
very earwormy.
Yep.
Made for arena rock, as they say, right?
Yes.
So I really have no idea like who's soloing in these songs. Can either of you tell the difference between the two guitars?
Interesting. No, I can't. Interesting. You should mention that.
I think generally it's Warren DeMartini.
I think generally that's true.
And they do some back and forth stuff, but like in this song, it kind of sounds like they're playing the same solo or doubling the same solo.
I think they did some of that. Yeah.
And it wasn't like a different octave or anything. It was like the same thing, but you could tell it was two different players. So I was almost wondering if they each played the same solo and then they put it together, but I don't know.
It's possible.
But yeah, I can't tell the difference between the two. In fact, just by watching the videos, it's like, oh, okay, so that's who did this.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And I want to say it's really kind of a strange phenomenon with this band and maybe this genre, but you could take a solo out of one song and drop it in another song and you really can't tell. To me, some solos are very iconic, like a David Gilmour solo or Gary Richrath, remember from REO?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just knew immediately, well, that's Richrath. But these are just solo fillers, for a lack of better. It's not Eddie Van Halen kind of stuff either. It's you don't remember, in my mind, the solo from this stuff.
It's kind of like Scorpions when we were reviewing them. I mean, it's a flashy.
It is.
Here's a solo, and then we're moving on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're good.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
really
there's,
good.
like I said, no disrespect. They're good guitarists, but it's just part of the.
Maybe it's the style.
Yeah.
I know with Def Leppard, I can tell the difference between who was doing solos.
Sure.
Those they had their own distinct sounds. But yeah, this one I just can't.
Well, it doesn't help that their guitars sound almost identical.
Right.
Their guitar sound.
They're usually the same gear.
Yeah. Well, yeah, true.
Same
Yeah.
thing.
That's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wonder even live, like how different they sound. Or,
right.
Back in the day anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on that one?
Nope.
We're ready to move on to the big one. Here we go. Round and round we go.
Yeah.
I mean,
This one got me hooked.
totally.
This song. I remember You Think You're Tough from the EP. I remember that getting some radio play. And then this came out. I was like, oh, there's a new RATT. This is really good. Sounded way better. I mean, the EP was low budget.
Yeah.
And so this one is like, wow, this is what RATT can sound like. This is pretty good stuff. So yeah, this one got me hooked. No doubt.
It's a little poppy. I mean, it's heavy pop. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's I think top 40-ish in a way.
Made it to number 12.
Yeah. And the chorus is super memorable.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there were days I was going around singing this in my head back in the day. Maybe even now some days. But it's still the same. It's not fast metal.
They're all, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
At the same tempo, right?
Same tempo.
Yeah.
It's kind of
They have their sweet spot, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah, totally. And maybe that's good too, I think, to become a number 12 top 40 song too. It can't be,
Yeah. There's some
Right.
faster
ones coming up that
there are.
they would not jive like that.
Yeah. And I kind of
Right.
get into that later, I guess.
Yeah.
I kind of like those.
Same.
This one was funny when they get right before the chorus, they were just, the music stops and then it goes round and round. And the producer did not like that. And he kept trying, we got to get something in there. And the band was just like, no, this is it. This is what we're doing. And then the producer came up with that kind of round, that pre-round and round.
Little
kind of in the
echoey
back.
kind of?
Echoey, yeah. And he's the one that came up with that. And then finally they went, okay,
They finally
But it took a long time because he just did not like that. He's like, we can't just stop this right here. He needs something there.
Didn't he say too, Robin Crosby was kind of his wingman?
He was.
When he could get Robin on board, the rest of the guys would kind of get on board.
Yep.
So
yeah, that was who he was closest with.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to be in a studio sometime when the band's doing that and listen to that
That would
stuff.
be so fun.
Well, it sounded like this. Yeah, these guys were competing, is what they're really doing. They all wanted the spotlight.
Yes.
And
All the band members?
yeah,
Oh, were they really?
yeah. So they wanted to make sure they got their stuff on,
But I think it came down to when they figured out how much money they were going to be making by the writing credits, and then it was like, then it was like fist fights almost.
yeah. Hey, I got a song.
Yeah. Right.
I wrote a song.
Yeah. You're like, no, we don't like
Just
that
me.
song. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Was there a couple of them on here just solo? I think
Maybe.
Robin Crosby has one, or Crocier.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think he did lack of
Piercy, too.
communication. And
Yep.
But yeah,
There's a couple. There's like 3 of them on here with just one writing credit.
Interesting. Unlike Van Halen, written by Van Halen.
Yeah,
all 4
there's
of them.
bands
yeah.
that just do that. Everybody's got an equal share, no matter
Rush.
what.
You know,
Metallica.
Well, no, maybe not Rush.
they kind of agree in
But
the
Van Halen.
beginning, and say, hey, if we make it, we're all in this together. So.
Yeah, not these guys.
Which is good, but then they usually end up fighting later. Mm-hmm. And then they come out and say, well, you really didn't do anything. Why are you getting money for this?
Quickly back to the guitarist. I remember hearing a story about how I just blanked on his name.
Robin Crosby.
No, Warren DeMartini got into the band. They were needing a lead guitarist for a show like that night, and somebody had a connection to him. They were in LA. He was in San Diego, and they called him up, and he was like in high school at the time, finishing up his senior year, I think.
Yeah.
And they called him up and said, yeah, we want you to come up and start gigging with us. We need you for a show. And he's like, well, I could probably kind of defer my last semester and, come and join you guys. And they're like, no, we need you tonight.
Oh, gee.
So he did come up. I think it was like maybe not even 18 or 18.
He's probably 18, yeah.
Came up and never went back. So,
Yeah.
But he got his GED.
Well, let's hope so.
yeah. Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about the video for this one. We touched on it too. So the Milton Berle connection, do you guys know that? Maybe Brian's right up on this one.
Yeah.
So Marshall Berle, who's the nephew of Milton Berle, was their manager. So that was the connection for that. And I think that had a lot to do with the popularity of the video too. Just like word of mouth, like, whoa, you got there's Milton Berle in this video. You guys seen this thing? Plus it was a pretty decent put together video.
Yep.
I watched it recently and I didn't remember the butler at the end, like getting all his rock makeup on and his like rock bracelet and rocking out on his bed. I completely didn't remember that for some reason.
Right.
I remember the lady at the end kind of peeling stuff off like she was in a web
Like
or
a
whatever.
cocoon kind of thing.
Dancing around weird.
Yeah.
Man, the 80s were weird.
And she ended up in a Michael Jackson video.
Oh, really?
Like
Later on?
the Diana one, maybe?
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you had Milton Berle question.
Does anybody even know who Milton Berle is these days?
Yeah. Well, I remember seeing him like, yeah, I know that guy looks familiar.
Yeah.
He was older then already.
Oh, definitely. He was 70 at that time.
Yeah. What was Milton Berle's claim to fame? What was he in? What did he do?
I think
he a comedian?
Yeah, because he kind of. I remember a story of them telling from this, like the video shoot, and him talking to the band and saying, "You're kind of doing what I did back in the day, where I'm touring. Go to a hotel, stay there the night, do a show. Next day, you're back on the road to the next place, and that's what they did. So yeah, comedian. He may have had a variety show too at some point. But.
I remember seeing him going like, I recognize that guy.
Yeah.
I think I've seen some comedy routine or something.
Yeah.
I think you were the one who mentioned this, Lance, something about rat infestation. We got rats in the basement.
Yes.
Or was that you? Geico commercial?
Geico commercial.
Yeah.
2020. Young couple
I
explaining.
had forgotten about that, but that's pretty cool.
That was funny. And I think that that song kind of shot up again because of the commercial.
Oh, for sure.
It did. It actually reached number 18 on the Billboard.
Wow.
Because of that digital song sales on June 4th, 2020.
Yeah.
Just because of that. Like, oh yeah, I remember that song. We should go download that on iTunes or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, ready to move on here?
Moving it.
All right, here we go. In your direction. Lance is rocking in the studio.
I like this one. This is a good tune. I like how it starts. It's very emblematic of the times and of that genre for sure. And you can just see the two guys with their guitars in sync moving back and forth.
Right.
Yep.
But it's a great opening riff, and I like the tempo. It's a little more up tempo than their other stuff.
Tempo, that's kind of what you're thinking of earlier.
Was it? Didn't I say it?
No, I don't know if you did
I
or
said
not,
it
but
earlier.
yeah, the tempo. It's the tempo of the songs that are fairly consistent too, and you got some that too. But yeah, that was kind of their sweet spot. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, this one goes a little more, I think, and carries through. Cool twin leads. You can hear them right there at the beginning. And there's even a change in tempo on the guitar solo that's really cool too.
Yeah, I like how it kind of stops and you kind of think it might be over, and then it kind of comes back in, and that's kind of fun.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite on the album, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I really dig it. I put a star next to it. So this is a good one.
Wow. So I got a 10 in Lance's book. All right.
Well, 10's really generous, but anyway.
I had a note that said, this highlights what I love most about 80s rock guitar. And this intro. This intro.
Yeah.
It's just like where you have one guitar and then you have another layer and then you start kicking it in.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, that epitomizes that for me, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
This was an interesting time because you had a lot of those kind of 70s bands like, Scorpions, Judas Priest, who were kind of starting to get big at this same time, and they kind of fit in with the new crowd, which was kind of cool. I mean, for a band that's been around for, say 10 years and, making albums for 10 years. And then, usually it's like, these are the old guys, get them out of here. We got a new thing, but they were able to jump right in.
For sure.
And those bands too had some of their biggest albums, in the mid 80s.
Oh, Scorpions for sure. Yeah.
Judas Priest.
Blackout.
And Judas Priest with Screaming for Vengeance and all
Turbo.
So I thought that was kind of neat that they were able to do that.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that because those older bands, maybe 10, 20 years ago, we had, you could kind of sense like if they didn't keep up with like the modern flavor of the day, they just kind of drifted off.
Not only that,
or reinvent themselves.
But if they did try to keep up with the music of the day, they were criticized for that.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, you can't do that. What are you trying to do? You're an old band, leave us alone and get out of here.
But, for like the Scorpions and Judas Priest, did they really change their sound that much? They kind of had a little bit of that all going on already, right?
Well, I think some of these
evolved.
bands were influenced by them, but they're different.
Yeah.
I think they were different.
Okay.
Yeah, if you listen to late 70s Scorpions versus the mid 80s, it was
Okay.
Yeah.
heavier and just
Heavier in the 80s?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, the Scorpions, they had some really mellow stuff to start off with too. But
But that was the 70s.
It was It was the production of the songs and all that really probably eased them into it.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to She Wants Money. Now Lance is really rocking.
Yeah, this, can I say it again? Good tune. Put a little asterisk next to it. The song moves. This is
a little faster.
This is how the hair band should sound in my mind, anyway.
Yes.
So you like the little bit faster stuff?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This kind of sounds a little reminiscent of Scorpions from the 80s too.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't really think about that, but a little bit.
It's not slow moving like those first three tracks.
Yeah.
Not that they were slowing, but it's just I dig the up
tempo.
Yep.
That's
the word of the day. Yep.
That's what my note was. Very up tempo. No, it wasn't either. No. It does hit you hard from the beginning though, which
my note was faster song.
Faster song.
It was a faster
Good
song
observation,
compared to the previous ones.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
You like it?
I like it.
Yeah.
I'll take a pass on the lyrics, but that's pretty in character for hair bands, I think at the time. But man, there's a solid guitar solo in this one though.
No doubt.
I think this is, as good as any of the other songs, I think, on this album. This one written by the bass player, Juan Crucier.
He probably wrote You're in Trouble too, didn't he?
Let's see.
With that heavy bass riff at the beginning.
He helped. There's 4 credits on that one. Crosby, DeMartini, and Crucier, and Percy.
I'm going to jump back to your story where you're talking about, I had a little whistle there.
Yeah.
That's cool. Where you were talking about them getting DeMartini. Do you know who their guitarist was before that?
I can't remember.
Eddie Van Halen.
Yes.
Nailed it. Moving on.
Jake E. Lee.
I've heard of him. Who did he play with?
Yeah.
Ozzy.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
After Rhodes?
After Rhodes died, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So not too shabby.
Yep.
The circle of 80s hair bands was kind of small.
Yeah,
in a way.
That book I mentioned at the beginning talks about how they were just like intermixing and trying out for other bands.
Yeah.
Like Slash almost ended up with like, was it Poison or something like that? I mean, some crazy like band you wouldn't ever picture him with.
Yeah.
That would have been funny.
It was, I think it was Poison. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Oh,
you're like,
man.
can you imagine that? I mean,
No.
And CeCe DeVille tried out for Stryper.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Back
So
in
it was
probably like 83. I mean, so these bands, I mean, they were all mingling together.
Yeah.
And I think they were competing, but also rooting for each other because
It was a healthy competition, I think.
yeah,
That kind of thing.
Right.
You know how Stryper got big?
How?
When you go into the Christian bookstore, it says, if you like RATT, you'll like Stryper.
Buddy.
You should get this. Yeah, right. All right. We ready to flip it over here?
Yeah, I'm excited to flip it over.
All right. Lack of communication. Here we go. Seriously, is there more headbanging song?
This is my favorite riff on the album.
Mine too. From the minute they
man,
turn the amp on, you hear that little amp squeal or whatever you
I
want to call
love
it.
And then the little slide on the strings and those little nuances. Oh, yeah. This is my favorite song.
Well, funny you should say that. I wrote down first thing, best song on the album.
And, great opener for the second side.
Yeah.
It gets you pumped up for the next side.
Yep.
So if you started with side 2 or side B, you're ready to go.
I love how they have these little things like the inverse drums, the backward drums on the one. Not a fan of the jungle one, but this one where you hear just like a little of the studio stuff. I love it when bands do that, but don't overdo it. And this one was like the perfect little complement of that.
Yep.
You can kind of hear some stuff going on. And you're like, oh man, I should turn that up and see what's going on. And by the time you turn it up and listen,
You get your head
Exactly.
blown off by the guitar riff.
yes, I wrote one word down.
Purpose.
I wrote one word down for this one: riffage.
Riffage, yes.
It's definitely my favorite.
This was the third single release, although I didn't think it charted. I don't think it did anything. I really couldn't find any information on it. I remember hearing it occasionally on the radio, but I had the album and just loved this song.
Yeah.
This is one I always listen to.
Yes.
I wonder if did RATT get play on like album oriented rock stations or were they more just, top 40?
I mean, they did. I mean, I remember hearing them on the radio, but slowly. It wasn't fast, I mean, I think they had to, I think they had to work their way in, but they did. They definitely did. But no doubt that MTV played a huge role in their popularity.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
And then, you're calling up the radio station. It's like, you got to be playing RATT.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
The MTV factor probably played a lot into why bands looked the way they did back then with the big hair and the makeup and whatnot too.
It's all part of that show.
Yeah.
Even in concert, you wanted to give them something a little flashy and, you don't look like you just rolled in out of bed and grabbed a t-shirt and jeans,
But that did work later, didn't it?
It did work later. Yes. For a lot of bands. Yep.
The dirty guys.
Anti-hairband look.
Flannels staring down at your feet.
John Cougar looking at you. Flannels. Yeah. In the 90s. Yes. That was the anti-hairband.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I have a quote actually I can read if we want to talk about that. That's, since you brought that up, I did find from Stephen Pearcy on how grunge didn't kill hair bands. This is what he had to say about that. The whole world was filled with mini Motleys and mini Ratts, and it just got to be too much. And so things went from being amazing to being the absolute worst very quickly. Mm-hmm. When everyone is making the same music, using the same producers and the same video directors, you're going to have a problem.
Yep.
So I don't blame it on grunge as much as I blame it on all that was going on in that era.
Yep.
Stephen Pearcy said that.
Yep.
Well said. I totally agree.
I think
wise man.
And
wise man.
And that's the issue, I think, with hair bands getting into things like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There's just, like he said, not a lot of difference. And it was good. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
there were so many bands in the late 80s that they may have had a song or two that were big, but it was just, they were just copying everything else.
Yes.
So it just wasn't unique enough. And the record companies were just, get me another band. I mean, I can't even imagine how many bands were signed because they had this sound or they could do this sound or they had this look and they weren't that great of bands.
Yes.
But they were able to get signed.
Yes.
beneath it all, some of these bands, I think, did have some good songwriters.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I mean, Piercy in his day was a decent vocalist. I know he said didn't have a lot of range, but he was unique.
It was unique. That was it.
Yeah.
He sounded cool.
Yes.
Yep.
And that was one of the reasons I liked RATT. Not only the awesome riffs that they wrote, but he had a really unique voice that stood out.
And he wasn't howling or screaming or screeching. I mean, never
just
did
like
that.
another one that sticks out from that genre for me is Tom Kiefer from Cinderella.
Yes.
Just very unique voice.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of things to remember, but will they make the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Nope.
Never.
Kind of to your point, Brian, going back to that book I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, they talk about that towards the end of the book when there was just this massive swell of those 80s type bands that all kind of sounded very similar. Mm-hmm. And there was just nothing new coming in until grunge seemed to peak. And then they just dropped everything and went that way. The shiny new thing.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how the bottom
You think of
fell out.
some of those bands that, maybe put out a band or an album in like 1989 or 1990, maybe early 91. And then that was it. It's like they may have been huge for like a year and then just dropped off the face of the earth.
Well, I think RATT's, they did put one out in 91, I think. They talked about
90, I think it was a 90 Detonator.
I think it was the Detonator tour, and they talked about how they only got done with half the tour because they went from filling the seats to filling half houses, and then the wheels just fell off.
Yeah.
So they were just losing money. All right, let's move on to Back for More.
What a nice little song.
Oh yeah, so dreamy.
It's very comfortable.
It's like a nap.
Oh yeah. What was that?
It gets into more rocking.
Yes, it does.
Slowly.
Is this
too slow for you, Lance?
It is. It kind of sounds like Bon Jovi should have done this song to me.
really?
A little bit.
There might have been some influence there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know when. Well, yeah, they were about the same time too.
Well, this was before Bon Jovi, so
Bon Jovi
That's
was
true, yeah.
81, wasn't he?
84.
His first album was 84.
Yep.
Runaway was 84.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I'm old. Don't remember.
You're
I'm
old.
older than you guys. Can't remember.
Hey, remember that Milton Berle guy?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, man,
Only
he had some
Lance
good
does.
movies in the 60s.
He's in this video too.
He is.
Is he really?
Yeah, at the end. There's
So
some.
this song came from the EP, the
Yes.
previous EP.
Oh.
So
I was going to ask you about this. This is the one, right?
man. Wait, could you pull that up? That bass line?
I can. Oh,
Oh, maybe not.
they don't
Maybe
have the
it's
EP
not
on
there.
here. I don't
Yeah.
think. Well,
have
maybe
that.
they do. Let me look.
I don't think they do.
You don't think so?
But yeah, the bass kind of twang. I don't know what you call it. It's very, very prominent on the EP. That it just sticks out like a sore thumb. Yep.
A little.
And every time I hear it, I just crack up. It is so funny. It's pretty subtle in this version, but
Yeah, the little. I think you played that for me when we were in college, and I hadn't heard that before. And it's just so.
yeah.
They mellowed that out quite a bit for the actual out of the Cellar recording. But you can still kind of hear it a little
Yeah,
bit.
you hear it a little bit, but it,
Yeah.
it really stands. And in fact, I after this album came out, I was like, oh, I know You Think You're Tough. I think I'm going to go try to find the EP. And so I did find it in the used record store, brought it home, took it out. It was not the right album.
What?
Oh, is that just how dumb of me, first of all, not to check even to see that the record was in good shape before I never even did it. So I pull it out, and the record is by a band called Fate's Warning.
What?
And this was their debut record. I just went back and listened to it the other day because I just remembered this. I'm like, who is this Fate's Warning? And this is their debut, and they kind of sounded like Queensryche, Iron Maiden-ish.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
With that name, I can see that.
So yeah,
Fate's warning.
Fate's Warning.
Well, you were warned by doing that never to do that again.
Oh
I
man,
guess.
yeah, I learned a lesson there.
I think actually I like the acoustic build up to this.
Oh,
one.
I do too. I really like that.
I usually like acoustic and then big power chords. It's fine, but it's not my favorite on the album.
It doesn't go on and on and on very long, so
Yeah.
it doesn't drag on. I don't feel. But another good chorus, arena rock chorus.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot of these, so you can just sing right along.
It's a good hard rock, melodic rock ish kind of song.
Yes.
They
Good way to
really
describe
kind of
it.
married the two.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm sorry you don't like it, Lance.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Music is subjective. Art is subjective.
That's on 9.5 instead of 10. All right, moving on to the morning after then.
They got a good drum sound on this album, I think.
They're big.
I noted that on
and
this song too.
prominent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bobby Blotzer. Yes.
Yeah.
And then the way they're mixed and the stereo they move around, so it's pretty cool.
There's kind
And
of
being the biggest guy in the band, I mean, he could hit them hard.
was he the biggest guy in the band, or was Robin Crosby?
I mean, Rob Crosby was, but he was
Yeah.
Crosby was
he was
6'5".
pretty big.
Yeah, he was a tall.
Okay,
tall
he
dude.
was heavier.
Imposing.
He was heavier. How
Yeah.
about
Bobby,
He had a football physique.
there you go.
Yeah. I like the beginning, just like the In Your Direction. She wants money. You know, it's fast and the way I think this genre should sound in my mind anyway. So, you know, it's a good flow. I like the chorus, short as it is. It's a very short chorus.
Yeah.
So, you know, good tune. I like it.
Solid.
I like the little stop before the solo kicks in, where it kind of goes, "Wow," and then he goes into
Yes.
it, and I like that part.
Good recall of detail, Brian.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes. You can all hear that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get a little bit of the harmony of the solo.
Sorry, I accidentally moved on to I'm Insane.
Are you?
I am. But I'm not on Maraca. Yeah.
Maraca?
Was that Motley Crue?
I'm on Maraca?
Was that?
Was
You're saying that
did
sound like Motley Crue?
Yeah, kind of does.
Kind of did, literally, yeah. But are you insane enough to like this song, Lance?
More of the same. You know, it's, the formula keeps working.
I think this
I
is
did
one of my little more favorite ones of
Is it?
them. Yeah. Lyrically, it's kind of fun. with all the insane references throughout and stuff.
You know who wrote this?
Eddie Van Halen?
I don't know.
Robin Crosby.
Oh, okay.
That was interesting.
He is a little insane, isn't he?
Well, he's deceased now.
Well, I know he's.
yeah. He had some problems.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Did he? Did he have?
Yeah, he'd gotten into some heavy drugs, heroin, I think, and had
That's too
HIV,
bad.
and so he had a lot of health issues surrounding that, and I'm sure that affected him a lot mentally. But I thought it was kind of interesting that he wrote this one too.
This would be a good pump up in the locker room for the football team. It's very testosterone filled sort of riff. It's heavy. But yeah, I thought when you played it, I'm like, well, now you hear it, kind of sounds like a Crew song. Not the same guitars, but you could put Mick Mars on, and it might be a little similar. I think didn't Shout at the Devil come out about the same time as this?
A little earlier, but yeah.
I'd listen to RATT before I'd listen to Shout at the Devil. I like RATT better than the Crew.
Same.
The Crew got bigger later with Girls, Girls, Girls and Dr. Feelgood.
They kind of set the stage though with Shout at the Devil and all these bands that kind of followed that kind of sound.
Mm-hmm.
Looks to kill.
Would have been a fun time to be in LA to see this all going on.
That'd have been crazy going from club to club.
Yeah.
All these places they were playing, you know, and just seeing that. That would have been insane.
Kind of live music heyday, really.
I like the line in this song where he says he's headed for a lobotomy.
Yes,
because he's insane.
I remember
that is actually a good line.
My brother-in-law Sean had a RATT T-shirt that said "Rat and Roll" on the back, of course, but it had a rat on the front that had all these wires hooked up to its brain.
I remember that one.
Yeah, so that's the song reminds me of that. Was this song? I can't remember. In the solo, was there a little bit of reverse soloing at the end of the solo?
At the solo,
like they played something a little backwards on that.
There's a little like whoosh thing going on.
Maybe.
I don't think it's a reverse, but it's kind of maybe, I don't know, but it's kind of a little whooshy sound.
Yeah.
They do that at the end, I think, too.
Yeah.
Like the same thing. All right, you guys ready to wrap this up? Scene of the crime?
Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
I can already tell it's too slow for Lance.
Yep. Give it a drum beat in here. Because that's a pretty thick, big drum thing he's got going on there. Bobby Blotzer.
That's throughout. Yep. I feel like that little riff in the beginning could be in any song. It sounds familiar, like I've heard it somewhere else before.
You know, really?
It's like doesn't do much for me. This is probably my least favorite song on the album.
It's probably mine too, because I think it starts sounding a little happy, like it's like joyful.
Changed the mood too much.
Yeah, I'm like
of the album.
No, I want to rock.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he starts it, right? And it takes a little too long for me to. It takes a little too long for me too in that build process.
Yeah.
I would have shortened it
Too
up
slow of a build, huh?
Yeah.
I like the chorus though. I like the way they sing the chorus, present the chorus. I think it's pretty cool.
They're good singers.
You've been caught.
Yeah.
The scene of the crime. Yes.
At the scene of the crime.
Like rounds almost. Yes.
You broke the law in the first degree. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I like the chorus.
Yes.
I think it deserves its spot at the end of the album.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Out of all the songs.
And it's not, I don't think it's a horrible song, but probably not the strongest one.
No, I'm a pretty big RATT fan, and I don't, there's not too much I'd pick on. I've mentioned the things I would pick on in here, and that's me getting, like, trying to find something even real picky, but I mean, I play this without skipping a song.
Yep.
Ready to wrap it up?
Wrap her up.
All right, I got a summary quote for you here from Christopher Long on V13 website, or does reviews apparently. With the release of Out of the Cellar, RATT seemingly had checked all the boxes. Unharnessed swagger? Check. Immaculately coiffed dudes, check. Eye-catching videos featuring an array of noteworthy cameos, check. The obligatory scantily clad hot chick gracing the album cover, check. Most of all, out of the Cellar oozed amazing songs brimming with heart-stopping rock riffs, irresistible sing-along melodies, and fist-pumping anthemic lyrics. Check, check, and check.
Big fan there, that guy, Chris.
I guess. Wrapped it up pretty nicely, I think.
And who was this girl in the videos?
Tawny Katane. I see we didn't mention her.
We didn't
on the
mention
album
that.
Cover. And she was in how many videos?
She was in...
Well, RATT's only
RATT
two
I
of
think.
RATT's videos. She was in a bunch of ones for Whitesnake. But she
Yeah.
was Robin Crosby's girlfriend, like in high school, and then when he was in RATT for a while.
Definitely best remember for Whitesnake.
Whitesnake.
Yes,
Yep.
because she hooked up with David Coverdale after that, right? Yeah, and married him, I believe.
Yep.
For a couple of years.
For a short time, yeah.
Yeah. But I do remember her from the album covers and the videos.
Or The Bachelor.
I do remember The Bachelor. Yes, that's what I remember her.
Not the
most from.
TV series.
No. Rated
Tom
R.
Hanks.
Rated R. It was a great movie from Tom Hanks. Yes. A lot of good little one-liners in that movie.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, guys, it's time to give our personal rating of this album from 0 to 10. Where do you guys stand on this one? Lance, or you want me to go first this time?
Oh, yeah. Dave,
ahead.
you go
How about
first,
that?
'cause you haven't done that.
Hardcore RATT fan here. This was a hard one because I'm so familiar with all the songs. Owned this from an early age. I love up-tempo, heavy riffage. You guys know that. Mm-hmm. I also love this for nostalgic value. But it just rocks in the end. I don't skip a song if I'm listening to this album. Solid 9 for me. How about you, Lance?
Well, yeah. Good question, Dave.
Did you do your math?
I didn't on this.
No,
No,
now you're going
I didn't.
Off the cuff here.
It would have been too hard to do math for me for this one. Because for me, this genre, every song sounds a little the same. And no offense, I mean, it's good playing, decent songwriting. I was talking with a friend of mine about this album, Dave Perona. Are you listening?
Hopefully.
And
all his friends and family.
yeah,
And coworkers.
I'm his only friend.
Oh, sorry, Dave.
Sorry, Dave. Yeah.
He'll get that joke. I kind of feel like bands like this were focusing too much on what the radio might have wanted and what MTV might have wanted. I wish they would have taken the next step like Cinderella did and do an album like Heartbreak Station. I thought that was a great album. You guys know I love that album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's why I didn't go and rate each song. There's some really memorable moments, the up-tempo stuff, and there's stuff to me that just is kind of there. I would give it a 6, I think. I've never given anything lower than a 6.
Wow.
And for me, it's just that the album hasn't had, in my mind, the staying power that
Boston.
other things that I like. Well, and look, I mean, you were, what age were you when this came out? You were like 14, maybe?
13, 14.
13.
It would make a huge impression. And it made a big impression on me because I liked Poison. I liked RATT. I liked Cinderella.
But you were going into college.
Yeah, so, REM was coming up. And
Simon and Garfunkel. I mean,
Bob Dylan. Do you ever heard of this Dylan guy? Man.
He's so now, man. He's just now.
So there are a few songs I would give, 8s and 9s to. Those ones right in the middle.
Yeah.
But there are others that I'm just like, it just sounds like the rest of the stuff from that era. So
I get it.
So just my impression.
Yeah.
6 for Lance. Where you stand, Bri?
big fan of the album. Same with Dave. Listen to it all the time, all the way through. Good stuff. I'm giving it an 8.
Solid 8 from Brian. All right. That'll do it for album review. All right, gents, it's time for Remember When. This is a segment where I ask Brian and Lance their thoughts about something we grew up with but may no longer be around today. For today's item, we're going back to Saturday mornings, guys, and zeroing in on one cartoon series that tricked us all into learning School House Rock.
Oh, yeah.
So this originally ran from 73 to 85 and then again from 92 to 2000. So I didn't know there were this many categories until, maybe a decade ago when it came out on video and they had all these series. But there's multiplication rock, grammar rock, America rock, science rock, computer rock, money rock, earth rock. What's your favorite genre?
Oh, of those?
Yeah. Or maybe just what's your favorite episode that you remember growing up?
I guess maybe the history rock. But then
America rock,
the grammar rock. I mean, the conjunction junction.
Yes,
and
I think I'm a grammar rock guy.
He was a hairy bear. He was a scary bear. I mean, I don't know. There's so much good stuff.
Right?
Super, super memorable. Super. I don't think the computer rock and some of those math rock.
Those are probably later. Those are probably the
later.
90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the multiplication, grammar, and America rock came out early 70s and lasted a while. Science rock even came out 78, 79. Computer rock, money rock, those were all like later 80s, 90s. Boy. Earth rock was like 2009. That was like a direct-to-video thing.
Sure.
So I think the sweet spot for me was kind of like the similar to multiplication, but more grammar and America rock I saw more.
Yeah.
And for those who are younger, who don't know what we're talking about with Schoolhouse Rock, these are little 2, 3, 4 minute segments that came on in between cartoons, like at the bottom of the hour, half the hour.
Yeah, at the end of
like a half hour or whatever.
Right.
It's like a little learning segment, but they'd squeeze in on you. But it's a cool little cartoon, catchy jingled, singing about something. Yes, that was one of them.
Oh, good memory.
Yeah.
Conjunction junction.
What's your function? Working on nouns and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, that's the one.
Interjections.
Yeah. Ow!
Hey, hey, you're cute.
That hurt.
That's right.
Yeah, I love these. I looked forward to it, and every once in a while you get to the end of a cartoon or whatever, and you're hoping they were going to squeeze one in, and they wouldn't.
Yeah,
and I'd be so disappointed.
I do remember waiting for them to come on.
Yeah,
too. Yeah, because you're like, okay, come on, Schoolhouse Rock, here we go.
I mean, they made learning stuff fun.
They did. Yes,
you didn't even realize you were learning.
Was it a particular network that had the
ABC?
ABC, yeah.
They were all on ABC. Yeah. Shot Heard Around the World.
Yeah.
Shot Heard
so
Around
you
the
see
World.
the whites of their eyes.
That's right.
Oh man.
Ride of Paul Revere.
The ride
Start of the Revolution.
Revere.
Yeah.
The start of the revolution, and it meant we're ready.
I remember
on the move.
probably early 90s. I was working someplace, and I had my lunch break, and I was just wandering into some stores, and I found the VHS of, I can't remember which genre it was, but it was one of the groups of them. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, because I hadn't, heard or seen any of them for 10 plus years. And so I snatched that up pretty quick. And then later on, when my kids were younger, I found the DVD set of the collection of all of them.
Oh.
And so my kids watched all those, and they love them, and they'll still sing them today too.
Awesome. So they get it.
Yeah. Superhero Zero.
Yes.
I mean,
we had a friend.
Yeah.
Superhero Zero is one. And we have a mutual friend who used to dress up as Superhero Zero and go to our kids' grade school. And
Pete.
On the 100th day of school, I think he would dress up. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep, those were the days back when you could actually learn something from TV, right?
Yeah.
By the way,
and the maybe you'll bring that one up. I don't want to mention another, but remember the after school specials?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The short movies where you had to learn something.
Yeah. You kind of learned some stuff.
A little lesson there. Yeah.
But
this some breakout material for some actors though. Actually.
Yeah. Right.
Conjunction Junction, I'm Just a Bill. That's the same guy.
Yeah.
I was always wondering, he's got such an iconic voice. Wonder who this is. You know who that is?
I don't know who it is, but I remember somewhat recently in the past 3 or 4 years where I saw the guy, like a video of the guy.
Jack Sheldon is his name. He used to be Merv Griffith's sidekick on his Merv Griffith show.
Oh, really?
Griffin show. Merv Griffin show.
Merv Griffin.
Thank you.
Yeah. Huh. I remember watching Merv Griffin show when I was a kid. Yeah, that was the 70s, though, I think.
Yep.
That's interesting that, what was his name? Jack what?
Jack Sheldon. So I went down a little rabbit hole of listening to his stuff. He's got recordings and stuff on music services too. So it's some pretty cool jazz and blues stuff.
Is he still with us?
I don't know.
Probably
actually.
not.
No.
Yeah.
Not sure. But good stuff.
That's a good
love
memory.
that stuff.
All right, guys, that will do it for today. In our next episode, we're kind of keeping our 1984 theme going lately, and we're walking through the top 10 Billboard singles of 1984. And we may throw in a bonus favorite from the top 100 list as well. If you missed our previous episode, we talked all about the Bryan Adams album Reckless, which had a surprising amount of hits on it.
That was fun.
It's an awesome album.
You were surprised by that?
I mean, I knew it had a lot of hits, but not that many.
Yeah.
So once you got into it, it was kind of surprising.
Until you look back and say, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah. That's also the reason why I'm growing out my hair right now.
I can tell.
Being reckless.
Good luck with that.
So if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and check it out.
And if you've enjoyed this episode, and we assume you are, because
Yes.
we are hearing from a few of you. Hey, I'm going to shout out to my sister-in-law,
Sure.
Heidi. Thanks for listening, Heidi.
Thanks for listening, Heidi.
She said she learned a lot about Kiss, and she hadn't known much about Kiss
nice.
after listening
See,
to our episode.
educational and entertaining.
Oh, yeah,
That's
we
what we
are.
hope we're doing.
Thanks
We're
for-
encouraging people to listen to more music, and maybe you don't normally listen to it.
That's right.
We're the schoolhouse rock of rock talk.
Of rock.
Yeah. so thanks for listening, and for those of you that are listening, and maybe those that aren't, just do us a favor, please, and share the episode link with a friend. Actually, if you're not listening, you're not going to share it.
You should have seen Brian's look when you said that.
Yeah. And help spread the word about When Records Ruled. And also let us know, as you have done in the past, and please continue to do, let us know what album or topic you'd like to hear us talk about in a future episode.
Yeah, let us know what you think of the show. Leave us some comments, good, bad, ideas you got, things you like, things you learned, things you want to know more of.
Wow.
That'd be great.
That was a lot.
Yeah. Give us a review of the podcast.
Yes.
4 or 5 stars would
5.
be great if you could. Be very rock and roll of you to do. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Dave makes some really cool album photos featuring us,
Yes.
the When Records Ruled guys, the 3 guys who just like listening to music
We do.
and talking about music.
And you can subscribe on YouTube now, too.
Oh, yeah, check out YouTube,
Get all the alerts and stuff.
right?
Don't go down that YouTube rabbit hole. They'll just stay on our page.
That's right.
Yes. Nothing else on YouTube exists but When Records Ruled.
Yep.
That's right.
Remember that.
So, yeah, check it all out. And remember that we are not professional music critics.
Nope.
We're just 3 guys who like talking music.
That's right, Bri. Thanks for listening, everyone.
We want to be professionals.
We do.
Yeah. So, support us. Spread the
All
word.
right.
Yes, spread the word. Yes.
So we can all retire and be professionals.
Wow.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.